There we go. That was a bit more like it. You know, that took me like, I did that like 10 times every time I coughed my fucking guts up. Although, to be fair, I am still getting over like the worst friggin' flu I have had in a long time. It isn't the one that will get you demonetized and your video like buried. Like, it's just the normal standard flu. But yeah, it didn't feel standard. Trust me.
Stop whining.
I still have like the stuff. But anyway, maybe not the video many of you were expecting after like a 2-year absence, I think I want to say. And I'll grant you, this may be something of a hot take, but yeah, god damn it, I'm feeling this one. And I feel like having a rant. I've been reading a lot of Twitter. I've got a lot in the tank that I want to get through. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of curious to see how this one goes, because this is the kind of shit people like me are meant to avoid. Left-leaning, liberal, or sock them, or whatever it is we're calling left-wing people who believe social and economic structures exist not to empower themselves, but the people who live under them.
They're fucking communists and they hate black people.
But aren't also jerking themselves off waiting for an impending class war whilst engaging in larpy debates about who does and does not face the firing squad come the revolution.
Fascist.
We used to be called normal people, but I don't know what the fuck it is now.
Literal commie, by the way.
But whatever we are, there does appear to be an expectation on what a lot of your opinions regarding this shit is meant to be, especially someone like me who has a history of making anti-SJW videos. You know, someone who is around during Gamergate, someone who is simultaneously embarrassed by his involvement in that shit, but real talk also resents the notion of having to concede every single goddamn point as if there wasn't a discussion to be had. There was. Like the one I'm hoping to have right now. So let's see if we can do a little bit better this time around. Now that I've acknowledged that, yes, these are some weird waters I am navigating. I'm aware the things we're going to be talking about are traditionally in the domain of people like the quartering.
I think it's important to remind people that I'm a clown.
And yes, that is somewhat disconcerting, especially since it was people's reactions to a since deleted tweet of his that was the impetus for this video, which is why I actually had to scroll through his channel, and I'm still scrolling through his channel as I speak, just looking to see if there's any more fuel I want to throw on this fire and to see roughly where we're at. Because a broken clock can be right twice a day, but if you start observing a more substantial pattern, then you might want to take a moment and spend some time figuring out what the hell is going on.
Are we the baddies?
So, a few weeks back, I am playing Final Fantasy XIV and I'm running Praetorium. And if you're familiar with the game, you'll be aware that this is like 45 minutes of unskippable cutscenes.
And do you believe in Orzia?
Which is cool the first time you run it, maybe even the second. But by the time you're running it for like the 40th or 50th time, you're essentially AFKing, you're watching videos, you're scrolling through social media, which is what I was doing when I stumbled across people giving shit to the quartering, claiming he's complaining about not being able to jerk off to a character from a TV show. Which, yeah, not an uncommon thing for the quartering to be accused of, especially these days. In fact, it's probably what he's most known for at this point, which makes it very easy to write off anything he says about any woman. Like, people will just frame what he says as that. They'll just say to him like, oh, you're just mad because you can't look after her, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, alright. And I'll be honest with you, like, people on the left, especially, I don't like saying it, but man, you are fucking up a lot. The amount of like 4chan and fucking Kiwi Farms type rhetoric I see being repeated and spewed about people just because you don't like them, like, for fuck's sake, I'll be honest, it makes you wonder if there's any difference between any of you fucking people. It's like, it doesn't matter, like left, right, center, fucking capitalist, communist, you're all just fucking awful. But anyway, so I tried to have my own opinions, so I looked into it. I went and investigated the latest quartering kerfuffle, and the root of what people were responding to were comments he had made in response to a video uploaded to Twitter by an actress named Daniela Pineda? I'm gonna go with Pineda. That looks right. Yeah, Panetta. Daniela Pineda, who is playing Faye Valentine in a Netflix live-action adaptation of Cowboy Bebop. Now, for people who are unfamiliar, this is a picture of Faye Valentine. And this is a picture of Daniela Pineda as Faye Valentine. Now, if you're anything like me, you probably didn't give the slightest fuck. And if you're asked ahead of time if this was likely going to be the outfit any actress playing this part would be expected to wear, you'd have probably said, nah, they're probably gonna change that up. But should they? In my opinion, no. But we'll get into my thoughts on this in a second. Because at this point, what I was most curious about was what the grievances of the people having a visceral reaction to this were. And I have to be honest, I would like to come out and say that people like the Quartering's grievances are deeper and more substantial than not being able to jerk off to the characters, which by the way is an accusation he takes literally. I don't know if he doesn't understand that people say that to him to make fun of him, or if he just takes it literally so he can try to argue against it by insisting he's more than capable of finding stuff to jerk off to.
Ugh, bearded man can't fap to cartoon. Ugh. Making a mistake about it, that is gaslighting. I have plenty of things to fap to, I assure you.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah. Anyway, I'd like to be able to address whatever meat or substance he's trying to get at in his videos and his many videos and his tweets and I'd like to distill his points and analyze them, but god damn it, he doesn't seem to have a point. He never makes a point. Listening to him is so fucking frustrating because he approaches the vicinity of a point. Like you think he's getting there. He's like the train that can. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. And then he just slaps on the handbrake and turns away onto some other shit. So in effect, he ends up just responding to shit without actually addressing anything. Just aimless whining and snarky comments. That's all the man has. And I mean, I don't know if this is a defense mechanism or laziness, because the Quartering is a bit of a punching bag for many people, and it clearly gets to him because he's left Twitter way too many times to be able to pretend that it doesn't. So it could be that he refrains from making arguments and finishing his thoughts so that he can backtrack to save face later on. That could be it. It could also be that he uploads somewhere in the region of 2 to 10 fucking videos a day across 2 channels, as well as streaming and podcasts and fuck knows what else. And I would be very surprised if the Quartering actually gives a shit about any of this stuff. I mean, he probably does to an extent, but his priorities on a scale of 1 to 10, just having a video of a trending subject up is probably like a 9 or a 10. Arguing his case and expressing himself, bro, that's probably like a 2 or a 3 for him.
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't matter to 99% of people that play the game.
Wait, then why did it matter enough for you to make like multiple videos on this stuff?
That's because of what I do, man. What do? You create content too.
Usually I do things that I think matter. Like that's what I would make videos about, or things that I think are important to talk about.
And that's the impression he leaves because like his videos come across as... Remember when South Park took the piss out of Family Guy with the manatees, where they said that most Family Guy jokes can be so arbitrary and random that they could be constructed by manatees randomly dropping labeled balls into a hole? That's the feeling I get when I watch The Quartering. I feel like he's sitting there with a big sack of like buzzwords and pre-approved anti-SJW phrases and sayings and like memes and stuff. And he's just there scooping this shit out of the sack and just sprinkling it into a video. Like, oh, this person said this word. We reach into the sack and we mad libs this phrase together. Like, you know, that's what I feel like he's doing. I don't feel like there's any real thought. It's just like a monkey see, monkey do kind of thing. He's just reaching into the sack and just clumsily trying to link shit together because he knows his audience and his demographic, they really don't care. That's just what they want to hear. Whether the Quartering is saying anything or making any kind of coherent point is irrelevant to the Quartering. The only thing that matters to him is people watch him and contribute to one of his fucking revenue streams.
If I make it to the finals next round, will 10 people agree to subscribe? Begging for subs already? Oh, I beg for them all.
Like, his ability to reach for hypocrisy in a manner that makes he himself a hypocrite it's a gift.
You might be wondering, why are they using emojis to rank things? Well, that's because only children, you have to speak like you're speaking to children when you promote this type of thing. It appeals to those with in my opinion, childlike thought process, a base level of IQ, and a substandard idea of what really matters in life.
He'll bring up cuties to make a quip about like Netflix sexualizing children, all whilst giving them crap about the size of a teenage cartoon character's tits. It's fucking mental. Oh, by the way, are we ready to have an actual conversation about cuties yet? Are people still clout farming that? Are they still screaming about the need to censor artistic expression whilst declaring themselves to be free speech absolutists? Because, bro, I saw some dog shit critiques of that movie that I'd love to get into. Hunter Avalon, looking at you. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm calling you out, you eyebrow waxing motherfucker. But before anyone gets fucking dumped, yes, this is jokes. This is what we used to be able to do, like before everyone just lost their fucking minds. Like, bro, so like, dude, we might get into that. I don't know. If people can be sensible, we'll get into it. If you're just gonna like accuse each other of being pedophiles so you can dox each other and get into fucking madness and fuck yourselves, I don't give a fuck. I want to talk about the movie, but I'll be goddamn if you motherfuckers don't make that impossible. Speaking of which, back to the quartering. So, the quartering not really having much to say wasn't really a surprise to me. I wasn't expecting much when I committed myself to an hour of his content, but goddamn, I was hoping for something I could like hook into and explore as a launching point for the video. But I don't know, man. There's nothing but air there. But there is one thing you can rely on the quartering for. Oh my god, if there is one thing you can bank on the quartering for, it's this. There is one thing the quartering does exceptionally well, and that is tapping into the pulse of his target demographic, figuring out exactly what they're most pissed off about at any given time and giving them exactly what they want to hear.
What a fucking
Even if it doesn't make any fucking sense, he knows exactly the words that they want to hear. He has made a career out of his ability to do that. So what we can do is zoom out. Zoom out from the quartering to see if we can't get an overview of what he's trying to tap into and see if there's anything there. And unfortunately, after a great deal of searching, the reason why the quartering didn't really make any points becomes apparent, because nobody is making points. Everyone is pissed off about this live-action Cowboy Bebop remake. There's a load of anger, but there's no real arguments. There are complaints. Oh my god, are there complaints? But nobody seems to want to do the legwork to explain why anyone should care about that anger. Nobody wants to explain why these complaints should be considered, which, I'll be honest, that's not ideal for me. That's really fucking inconvenient for me. Because you see, in an ideal world, someone else would have made all the points that I'm gonna be making probably throughout the course of this video, whilst talking massive amounts of shit to grift and clout chase. And I could then lend weight to the legitimate points, whilst criticizing the grifting and clout chasing, as well as the targeted harassment and mob dynamics that typically go along with that kind of shit. That would allow me to eat my cake and have it too, but I can't, because there ain't no fucking cake around here. Nobody's trying to make any points. There's all the grifting and all the clout chasing and none of the substance. There's a bunch of people super pissed but not really able to express why, just going around looking for people who agree with them whilst calling those who don't Marxist, communist, SJW, blah 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 blah. And the only reason they're finding people who are arguing with them is because they're being hyper reactionary dickheads. And let me be clear, when I say reactionary, I don't mean reactionary in the correct sense of the word. I don't believe they're in opposition to political or social progress. They don't fucking care. I mean reactionary in the colloquial sense, which at this point is the sense everyone actually uses that fucking word to mean, as in a bunch of people throwing a hissy fit and having a never-ending cascade of knee-jerk reactions because they're incapable of articulating their issues, so just want to revel in their emotions. Here, her shorts are yellow, but here they're blue. This is the worst thing that could have ever happened. Why have they done this to my baby? Etc. And if I can talk directly to those people for a moment, yeah, come this way. Just one sec. Yeah, we'll just be one sec. Dude, for real, you need to calm the fuck down. You need to understand that complaint in isolation sounds fucking ridiculous. That can't be your entire argument. If you actually want anyone to give a fuck about anything you have to say, for fuck's sake, man, what is wrong with you? Alright, so, all that said, why do I think this is bad? Why do I think people are correct to be angry about this? This being a pair of yellow shorts, and why do I think the creators should be concerned about seemingly trivial complaints? How can freaking out about a pair of shorts not be a crazy overreaction? An unenviable task to explain, but I like a challenge, and I accept. To my mind, it's very simple. This is a product. Yes, it's an artistic work. Yes, this product is being created by artists and creatives expressing themselves, but it is ultimately a product. It is being produced in order for people to profit. People are investing in the production of this product for a profit. The success of this product lies in its ability to make a profit. And the best way to ensure profitability is to do everything you can to mitigate risk. And one of the surest ways you can mitigate risk when producing something like a TV show or a movie is to ensure there is a built-in demand for whatever it is you are producing. This is why we live in a sea of sequels, prequels, reboots, spin-offs, expanded universes, revivals, reimaginings, and blah, 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 blah. Because those things are way easier to sell and far less likely to flop than an original intellectual property that has to stand or fail on its own merits. The reason why Netflix is interested in making Cowboy Bebop rather than some random shit from the same studio like, I don't know, Mama is a 4th grader, there we go, is because Cowboy Bebop as an IP and a brand is infinitely superior and more marketable. Why? Because it has legions upon legions of people who love it. And just so we're clear, I'm not one of those people. I think Cowboy Bebop is probably one of the most overrated animes of all time. But facts are facts. It has a fan base and cult status that it has accrued over 25 years. The people creating this show had no part in that. The people creating this show contributed nothing to the success and longevity of this intellectual property. The people creating this show did nothing to make people so deeply invested in the characters, the stories, or the world of Cowboy Bebop. But the people creating this show want to tap into that. The people creating this show want to exploit that and profit from the love and affinity people have for this show for their own benefit, having done nothing to demonstrate that they're capable of carrying the torch, whilst giving people who care every reason to doubt them. And they should have some respect for that. They should understand their position. They should have some humility. Like, this isn't Quentin Tarantino taking the reins on this shit. It's Andre Nemec, a guy whose track record is fucking abysmal. The best you can hope for with this guy is mediocrity, because his capacity to produce straight up dog shit, trust me, you have no idea. If you want to know how bad it can get, pull up Netflix and look for a show called Zoo and see how long you can last. I lasted 11 episodes before my curiosity as to how terrible this show was going to get gave way to just pure fucking boredom. Like, dude, for real, the fact that they gave him 3 seasons for that show and they're still working with him is baffling to me. Andre Nemec is to Netflix what U-Bowl is to films based on video games. Nobody likes his stuff, nobody understands who is watching it, nobody understands why anyone is giving him the money to make it, yet he continues. This man, who has never and most likely will never create anything as loved and respected as Cowboy Bebop, is now sitting around making quote-unquote improvements to something infinitely better than anything he's ever been involved in. And to aid him in this endeavor, he's calling in the big guns, like Harold of Harold and Kumar, who I swear is like 50 fucking years old at this point.
What's a cock meat sandwich?
Some girl from the Vampire Diaries and the originals, 2 shows I haven't seen, because despite what my voice may lead you to believe, I am not a 15-year-old girl, nor am I a sexually repressed soccer mum. What I am, however, is subscribed to a YouTuber named Jenny Nicholson who made a 2.5 hour long video on the Vampire Diaries, which I watched in its entirety, meaning I now know way more about the Vampire Diaries than any heterosexual man ever should. Ever. And bro, that show looked like dog shit to me. that was a special 2.5 hour recap of the stuff that I'm glad I never had to sit through and watch in real time, because goddamn. A friend of mine kept telling me that show was good and kept trying to get me to watch it, and I was like, nah man, I don't know about this one. He's also a fan of Candace Owens. Sends me her TikToks. It's weird how it all comes together, isn't it? Okay. Anyway, yeah. Next, who's the other one? Mustafa Shakir. Alright, now Mustafa Shakir, gotta be real, Everything I've seen him in so far has been great, but I worry for him because this looks like it's gonna be a howler. And then you have the whole race swapping thing, which I personally, I have mixed feelings on it, man. Mixed feelings. Like, I don't remember that much about Cowboy Bebop to have strong opinions on what a race swap might mean for that character. But I really hate the way people just kind of hand wave away concerns about race swapping characters with statements like, oh, race wasn't that important to that character anyway. Like, I don't know, man. Like, there's a lot there that makes me feel uncomfortable. Like, the entire sentiment of that makes me very uncomfortable. Lots of aspects of this discussion tap into what I believe are very outdated aspects of racial awareness. As an isolated thing, I wouldn't overthink it, but with Andre Nemec and with the context of the other changes he's making, it kind of reeks of, like, just Gen X overcompensation. Hey, that pale-looking character with no visible aging, a Jewish last name, big old fro, and carries an Israeli handgun? Well, that sounds like a 50-year-old Asian dude to me. Okay. Hey, that female character with a crop top and shorts? Well, I hate to break it to you, buddy, but women are more than just eye candy for you to gawk at. They can be, do, and wear whatever they want. Except for yellow shorts and a crop top, it would seem. Hey, you know that old white guy? Yeah? He's black now. Yeah, we did that. Racism over. You're welcome, black people. Ugh. I don't know, man. At some point, it feels like they're trying to create a shield for criticism, and as frustrating as it is, it works. I'm kind of hesitant to even bring it up. This shit is like fucking catnip for liberals to run around patting themselves on the back and talk about how they don't see color. I mean, I guarantee if I search Twitter for Cowboy Bebop and can't do black. That's way too vague. It's also the character's fucking name, actually, come to think of it. African. If I search for Cowboy Bebop African, bang, right there. Check this out. How can people be mad that Jet Black, captain of Cowboy Bebop, a style of jazz music created by African Americans from an anime filled with jazz, a black musical style, is being portrayed by a black man? That's like being mad if Iron Fist was finally made Asian. Hashtag Cowboy Bebop. This is what the conversation becomes. So now we can't talk about why they made that decision. We can't talk about what that means for the character and the dynamics between the characters on the show and the direction of the show. Now suddenly we have to pull out our 1995 Human Resources Manual on race relations to pretend that we're our parents and that we're all colorblind and that race is meaningless.
You know what? This is a color-free zone here. Stanley, I don't look at you as another race.
We have to pretend that if you grew up black, you would be exactly the same person you are right now. Absolutely nothing would have changed because the world would have treated you exactly the same, therefore all of your opinions and perspectives would have been the same, because that's how inconsequential race is in the year of our Lord, 1995. Now if everyone would like to unzip their pants, we could get started with a circle jerk. Maybe even suck our own dicks. Fuck it, why not? We just solved racism. Let's have a party.
What you want, a cookie?
Like, it's farcical. And if you're like a right-leaning anti-SJW type, you're gonna find this incredibly irritating and patronizing, and you're probably mad as hell but have no idea why or who to blame, which is why you rally around people like the Quartering. So you can feel like your anger is legitimate and justified by virtue of other people feeling the same way. And if you're a left-leaning liberal type or sock dem or whatever label you feel the need to adopt this week that Nazis are trying to co-opt and communists are trying to blame for their own failures and shitty fucking attitudes, if you're on that end of the political spectrum, you're also probably low-key annoyed by this shit, because you probably can't help but suspect that all of this is an attempt to drum up a controversy by trying to bait the worst aspects of internet fandoms into saying some fucked up racist, sexist shit, which you know you're gonna feel compelled to argue against, essentially suckering you into being part of a marketing strategy in service to a bunch of Hollywood hacks who, in the words of the late great Patrice O'Neill, just aren't interested in good. Also, that a multi-billion-dollar, multinational corporate entity can close out Q4 on a high and hit the ground running into the next fiscal year. Oh yeah, that's what I want to spend my time fighting for, baby. More dividends for shareholders. It's so fucking tiresome. And the thing is, if I dragged any of you idiots off Twitter and sat you in a Discord call with each other, you'd probably agree. If away from like the culture war crap and the scoring points over people who you think are your political friggin' nemesises, I asked you, should people adapting a beloved story to a different medium be respectful of that story and do everything in their power to remain true to the source material? Everyone would say yes. Everyone would say of course. But we get baited into bullshit. And frankly, that's on us. If we didn't love to fight so much, this wouldn't be so easy to exploit. Some Hollywood exec makes a decision and reveals that decision, and you have a cascade of mental breakdowns rather than engaging in some constructive criticism. That's all on you. And the people who engage you whilst you're being dumb, that's all on them. That said, I feel there is a break-in point, and that is when people who were involved in the process that resulted in those decisions try to jump into the fray, and especially when they do so for no other reason than to pour gasoline onto the fucking fire. Whether they're fanning the flames of free marketing or just looking for attention, if you start speaking, well, now it's on you too. And don't get me wrong, if you're dropping cold hard facts, I'ma back you. Nothing makes me happier than seeing people who are traditionally fake as fuck have moments of realness. Case in point, PewDiePie. People who have been watching me for a while know I've criticized him a bunch of times for a bunch of stuff. But when I saw this...
Why do I even get notifications? Jesus fucking Christ. Fuck off, and oh my god, you're so annoying. I hate you so much. Fucking children. What, I showed my account for 2 seconds and this is what you did? Do you guys have no friends? Is that the issue? Okay, that nightmare went over. God, you guys, what's your problem? I'm not gonna add you, I'm not gonna write you. Fuck off. We're not friends.
When I saw that, I was smiling from ear to ear because that's a real person having a real reaction to something a lot of people in his audience really needed to hear. A lot of you people need to hear these creators who you formed parasocial attachments to tell you that you're not their friend and you need to fuck off, because some of you people are moving mad. And there's a very common and very cliche response to this behavior. It goes something like, oh my god, they're attacking the fans, they're betraying the fans. Like, bitch, shut the fuck up. Nobody owes you anything because you formed some weird fucking completely one-sided emotional attachment to someone or something. Just think about how insane that is in another context. Imagine you're obsessing over a girl for a year and then you approach her and are like, hey, every time I've joked off over the last year, I've been thinking of you. So I just want to tap that at least once. Unless of course you want to make it a regular thing, in which case amateur arrangements can be made. But if she then calls you creepy and tells you to fuck off, how insane would you have to be like, oh my god, I can't believe you treat me like this. How dare you betray me like that? Your support base, you know, it's people like me who put you where you are. You own me. Yes, stinking here. It's pathetic. It's super weird, super cringe, and people like the quartering in their pursuit of clout, in their never-ending grift, they play into that mentality, they validate that attitude, they normalize it. When it's anything but normal and should be derided and mocked relentlessly anytime it presents itself. Now, at this point I have to preemptively respond to a bunch of comments because the internet has conditioned me to always be mindful as to the extent to which people will construe things as hypocrisy in an attempt to dismiss it. So undoubtedly, right now, there are a bunch of people thinking to themselves, hey, wait a minute. Didn't you just spend a load of time talking about how it's fine for fans to freak out about trivial changes like yellow shorts, and now you're saying that they should be mocked for caring? Or something to that effect. So allow me to explain because context is always key. If you really like a girl and you ask her out, she says no, and you respond by saying, no problem, have a nice day. That's fine. Most people would agree that's how that interaction should go. Unless you're mental, in which case you might start trying to argue that that in and of itself is harassment, in which case, yeah, fuck you, and we'll get on to your crazy bullshit another day. If you really like a girl, you ask her out, she says no, and then you take that rejection as a personal slight and start telling them to go fuck themselves and start lashing out at them, well then, you, my friend, are a prick. You inserted yourself into their life, you created a situation for her to deal with, and then you're gonna act like a child when it doesn't go the way you want to. That's pathetic. However, if you really like a girl, you ask her out, she says no, after she's been flirting with you for months and telling her friends that she wants you to ask her out, if you bite the bullet and then she acts like it was some horrific imposition, I would argue you're perfectly within your rights to say,
what the fuck did I just hear?
So by the same token, if fans of Cowboy Bebop had been begging for a live-action remake of their favorite show from the writers of Mission Impossible 4, G.I. Joe 3, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, from a showrunner who was responsible for great shows like Zoo, Fastlane, and She Spies, and a cast ensemble by legendary casting directors who created the classic ensembles you've seen in cinematic greats like X-Men Origins, Wolverine, The Twilight Saga, Breaking Dawn, and Dragon Ball Z Evolution. If fans of the show had been crying out for that, then they wouldn't have shit to say. But as far as I know, nobody was asking for that. As I said, I'm not a Cowboy Bebop fan. My opinion of Cowboy Bebop can be fully encapsulated with a single expression. That expression being meh. But if I was working at Netflix and was asked like who would be the best person to head up a show like Cowboy Bebop, if I had to pick someone off the top of my head, a person who would capture the style, substance, and spirit of something like Cowboy Bebop, Robert Rodriguez is probably the first person I'd go to. Then maybe Edgar Wright, and if Edgar Wright wasn't down, I'd try Guy Ritchie. He's not as good, but he's close. And then I'd probably go through another 30 names before I go to people like, I don't know, Gaspar Noé. And by the way, these are just people who I think you could get to do a TV show. Robert Rodriguez is currently doing The Book of Boba Fett. Edgar Wright is probably a reach, but he does have a solid history of TV and is actually a fan of Cowboy Bebop. Point being, I don't know how long I would need to go and how many rejections I would need to have piled up on my desk before I found myself asking, hey, remember that fucking awful show about animals trying to wipe out humanity in the most hilariously stupid ways imaginable? Find me the guy who got Netflix to buy 3 seasons of that shit. I think I would be putting my own name forward before I put forward that fucking guy. Yet there seems to be zero awareness of that from these people. Not only do these people think they're in a position to be hyping shit, they seem to be under the impression that they're in a position to be talking shit. So now we're going to veer away from Cowboy Bebop, we're going to zoom out and we're going to look at this video that Daniela Pedina uploaded to Twitter. Because you see this shit a lot, and I'll be honest with you, I'm gonna be real, I'm gonna keep it real 100 with you right now. I am so fucking sick and tired of listening to rich white women whining. It's peak. I can't do it anymore. Like it's just I'm sorry. I'm trying to be a good little leftist, but holy shit, fuck you people. What is wrong with you? If I need to spend one more second of my lifetime listening to some rich, attractive, famous fucking white woman in California bitching about how oppressed they are, I'ma fucking lose my mind. They are living quite possibly the most charmed and privileged existence it is possible to have, and they seem to resent every fucking second of it. And you see the symptoms of this very, very strange dynamic play out in Hollywood casting decisions and the way white women are generally treated. Now, remember earlier when I said if you looked at Faye Valentine's costume that it was obvious they would probably change it? That's not an opinion I had based on concerns regarding the practicality of a woman wearing a pair of fucking shorts and a crop top. Because, allow me to be clear, those concerns are fucking non-existent. It is an opinion I have based on my past experiences of seeing pretty much every single representation of a female character from a comic book or animation being a shade of what they're meant to be by the time they hit the screen. Now, when a man is cast as a comic book character, what does he generally do? Well, I'll tell you what he does. He calls up The Rock.
I literally rang Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. I said, man, I've seen you in some movies. I said, what's going on? What do I do?
Gets that good hookup for all the human growth hormones and steroids a growing boy needs. Which, by the way, I don't give a shit about. People have a weird stigma about steroids and performance-enhancing drugs. Like, I don't care. I don't give a fuck. And I'd love that stigma to go away. You can use all of these things safely and responsibly for the maximum benefit with practically no downsides. Meatheads having no regard for their personal safety, pushing it to 11, injecting liters of the shit directly into the fucking eyeballs to the point where their hearts explode. That's not an issue with a marvel of modern medicine that will enable your body to heal muscle tissue at a vastly superior rate. That is an issue with stupid people being stupid. Anyway, once our would-be superhero gets the hookup, he then kills himself working out for anything from 2 to 8 hours a day depending on their specific needs. Then they eat a meal of brown rice, steamed vegetables, and plain chicken or fish every 2 hours like 5, 6, or 7 times a day. Which, by the way, everyone will tell you is the worst part of building muscle, is constantly being full and not being able to eat the shit that you want. Like, it's the worst. Now, if you're a woman and you've been cast as a superhero, your schedule is a little different. What you do is basically, show up.
Yay.
Yeah, that's it. That's literally all you have to do. Then if people raise their eyebrow and ask, hang on a minute, how the hell is this waif playing Wonder Woman? Well, don't worry about it, because you get backup. You get this weird as fuck unholy alliance between trad incels and like online pop feminists and stuff. It's a trip to see it like to deal with it as well, but to like even see it, it's madness. Like, Wonder Woman is literally an Amazonian demigod. She is meant to be head to toe, ready to go. She's meant to be just wham, just friggin' hench as fuck. She's meant to be somewhere between an off-season bodybuilder and some kind of like high-level CrossFit competitor. That's the body type. That's where the expectation should be. And if Wonder Woman was a man and was being played by a man, you best believe that's where the expectation would be. Then when you point this out, what do you have coming back at you? The unholy alliance. You have the trad incels bemoaning people trying to erode traditional feminine beauty standards, talking shit about how women should be depicted as dainty waifs who have zero visible muscle mass because that's what women are meant to be, subservient, barefoot and pregnant. Then you have the terminally online feminists talking about unrealistic expectations, talking about how no woman could possibly look like this, and then we have to pretend they're not talking complete and utter bollocks, lest they accuse you of being one of the incels who by and large agree with them. This woman doesn't exist. This woman doesn't exist. This woman? Oh, you best believe she don't exist. All of these women the casting director found to line up behind Gal Gadot are in her own fucking movie. Apparently they don't exist either. And then we move on to the next argument, which is just because they have the right body type doesn't mean they can act. Which, I'm sorry, but do you really want to argue on the basis of Gal Gadot's superior acting chops? Is that the hill you want to die on? And the typical defense I see people bring up in response to this is they'll bring up Arnold Schwarzenegger and they'll talk about how he could barely speak English and became one of the biggest movie stars of all time. And I'm not saying that that's a terrible response in general, because it's very true. Someone doesn't need to be a good actor to be good in a role. Keanu Reeves has made a career out of being an unobtrusive blank slate through which audiences can project themselves into the movie. However, bringing up the acting ability of people like Arnold Schwarzenegger is a terrible defense in relation to Gal Gadot, because it carries with it the implication that Gal Gadot is a superior actor, when she's fucking not.
Max Lord, you're putting yourself and everyone else in grave danger. I need you to give me the stone. What happened to it?
Acting ability was not a consideration in the casting of Gal Gadot. The reason Gal Gadot was cast as Wonder Woman is the same reason you'll never see a female superhero with any kind of muscle mass. Because the money men and women behind this shit, the men and women marketing this shit, they think that the general consensus of the public at large is that of the trad incels. They think most men and women find muscular women to be masculine and unattractive. They think men don't want to fuck them and women don't want to aspire to be them. And this is why, regardless of the role, you always see the same woman cast. It is always a woman who you could imagine working at something like the front desk of a fashion magazine. Nobody's ever breaking any kind of mold in any kind of way. Everything's standardized. Even breast size. How many women in Hollywood can you think of that have legitimately massive tits? And I mean like Hollywood actresses, obviously, not porn stars. I could think of two, Christina Hendricks and Kat Dennings. And then I'm drawing a blank. Big fat blank over here. Don't know. So you know what? Fuck it, I'll be back in a minute. I'm gonna go do some research. Okay, I'm back. There you go. I did intensive research. Very intensive, very strenuous. I suffer for you. I hope you fuckers appreciate it. And you know what I found? I was right. It's pretty much Christina Hendricks and Kat Dennings. Like, that's it. Like, all these articles, they just start throwing curveballs at you, like Kim Kardashian and Amber Rose. Like, hey, they ain't getting any fucking major Hollywood roles. Fuck off. I mean, as far as Hollywood is concerned, there seems to be a very rigid criteria for who they're comfortable casting in terms of body type. Then, when fandoms who actually care about the thing that people are hoping to exploit for profit say, hey, this isn't right. This character is an Amazonian. Can I at least get a tricep up in here? Whether they mean it or not, they attempt to buck these rigid Hollywood beauty standards in order to see the character that they care about done justice. But the consequence of what they're pushing for is more representation and acceptance of female body types, which maybe opens up opportunities for people and widens the scope of female role models people can aspire to and challenges the preconceptions of what a woman is meant to be. But oh no, what's this? Suddenly, like an RKO from nowhere, here come the adherents of pop feminism and their associated blue check marks who seem to want to do everything in their fucking power to uphold this rigid criteria. No, you will not have muscles. No, you will not have more than a C cup. And bitch, if your height starts with a 6, you best believe we're coming for your clot. Excuse me, I weigh 500 pounds. Can I be seen? I'm basically spherical. Only if we're allowed to laugh at you now. Fuck off. Like, it's so fucking horribly, like, counterproductive and anti everything they claim that they're meant to fucking stand for. And then all the shit they say to reinforce this is so tedious. It's always a rehash of the same arguments. Like Gal Gadot talking about, oh, well, you know, Amazon women actually, like, used to cut off their tits, so if you wanted to be 100% accurate, like, bitch, shut the fuck up. Wonder Woman is a comic book character. We can see her. I can see one tit. And I can see another tit. There's 2 tits. So if I was really to be a stickler for accuracy, wouldn't I be demanding 2 tits? As opposed to none, which is what you're currently bringing to the fucking table? Oh my god. Okay, yeah, that was just mean. But it's so fucking dumb. And I'm just waiting to have to rerun all the same bullshit again. Because if you're not familiar, Disney and Marvel, which are basically the same thing at this point, they are currently producing a She-Hulk show for Disney+. And for people who don't know, for people who aren't familiar, this is She-Hulk as most people know her. When most people who know the character think of She-Hulk, this is what they typically have in mind. In fact, to put some weight behind that, when Fortnite wanted to create a She-Hulk skin, this is what they made. That's what She-Hulk looks like. That's what everyone understands She-Hulk to be. And this is who Marvel cast to play She-Hulk. Yeah. And in a few months, we're gonna start seeing the first looks of her as She-Hulk. And I'm just bracing myself to have the exact same fucking arguments all over again. Because it's always the same dumb arguments. Even when it isn't about body type. Even when it's about something as basic as a pair of shorts. Which brings us nicely back around to Daniela Pedina trying to get some yes queens from the chat. So let's hear these arguments with the context now being a pair of shorts.
Hey guys, so as you know, our Cowboy Bebop first look dropped today, which was so exciting. And I just wanted to address a couple of things that sort of keep coming up in the comments amongst fans. First, I wanted to apologize to the fans that I did not anatomically match the Faye Valentine character. 6 foot, double D size breast, 2-inch waist. You know, they looked everywhere for that woman and they couldn't find her. It's kind of weird. So they just went with my short ass. I know. Am I right? You know, there was talk about, like, can we put Daniela in a time machine and maybe give her different parents so she has different genetic information to sort of make her look better? It proved to be too complicated.
Look, everyone loves tits, yet I can only name 2 women in the whole of Hollywood who are notable for their cleavage. That sounds like a goddamn conspiracy to me. But fuck, maybe Danielle here is right. Maybe these women just flat out don't exist. In which case, I think we need to take action. I think we need some form of affirmative action for D-cups and above. If women with big tits are dying out, then we need to do everything in our power to prevent this fucking evil. We are killing ourselves to save species that don't even want to fuck. Pandas, I'm looking at you. Yeah, you're done out here. We got real problems now. You want to live in a world without big tits? I mean, for God's sake, think of the children. What kind of a world are we creating for them where the most they can hope for is a C-cup? Fuck that. I want a United Nations resolution on the table tomorrow. I want Michelle Obama all over Twitter holding up a sign saying, bring back our boobs. And I want Boris Johnson and the rest of the UK standing outside clapping for cleavage. Because apparently we're on the precipice of a fucking disaster here, people. And the only people who knew anything about it was the lead actress from Cowboy Bebop. Man, I'm bored. Is she gonna whine anymore? Let's find out. I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna wrap this up and then I'm gonna go to sleep and then I'm gonna find out what the fuck I recorded tomorrow.
And the other thing I wanted to bring up was I want to apologize that the outfit I'm wearing is not exactly what she wears in the anime. You know, we tried, but doing stunts in tissue paper, things disappear, they rip. Sometimes it just got lost. Anyway, like I was saying, that original costume, they made a couple of them, but like I said, they got sort of slurped up in my various crevices, never to be retrieved again. So we needed to really build something that could withstand the test of time. So just, you know.
Oh my God. It's yellow shorts, a crop top, and a red shirt. I mean, for fuck's sake, are we meant to be pretending? Is the expectation here that we're meant to pretend that this is not about yellow shorts, a crop top, and a fucking red shirt? The costume is yellow shorts, a crop top, and a red shirt. Eddie Murphy waddles around in 500 pounds of latex? Not a problem. How many Batmans have had to slot into fuck knows how many pounds of rubber where their comfort was so far from consideration that the people who made the suit didn't even think to enable them to be able to piss with the suit on, which they have to do because the suit is so hot that they sweat so profusely that they have to just constantly drink fluids or they pass out from dehydration. How many hours does Dave Bautista have to spend getting his fucking nipples painted and stencils glued onto them so he can walk around shirtless for 14 hours? Man has to sit in a sauna for 30 minutes so all the crap that's glued to him is loosened enough that 3 people can help him scrub it off at the end of the day. And we're pretending that yellow shorts are just ridiculously unfeasible? Get the fuck out of my face. You know how easy it is to handle this? If you've been cast as a character and people start talking shit about your costume, you want to see how easy it is to deflect any criticism away from yourself? Fine, I'll show you. Or rather, Sober Wars is gonna show you because Drunk Wars is about to go to bed. So, best of luck with that one, dickhead. Technically it's still me. Fuck him.
Wow. It's very skin-like. Yeah, it's gelatin. But yeah, he would have just had a board and branded it. It's a branding. You know, it's not a tattoo. Or they were going to do a tattoo. I mean, you know, in the comic book, he's in a pair of blue fucking tights, and thank God they knocked that one on the head.